It's time again for another installment of The Basics, and on today's show, thanks to a request from one of my viewers, I'm going to talk about small craft and shuttles in the Star Trek CCG, their pros and their cons, and maybe a little bit of how you should use them in-game. Let's get started, shall we? Shuttles and runabouts and interceptors, oh my! Now, a lot of players in the Star Trek CCG are not very fond of the small craft. They're not as widely used as some people may think. Personally, I've never been big on them. I do use them sparingly depending on the deck I've built. They do come in handy once in a while, especially if I have a Q's tent side deck, but they're not for everyone. And before I get into some of the shuttles and small craft I have here, I'm going to start with the pros and cons, and that would be, in terms of pros, most of these can be carried aboard larger ships. The exception being ships like the Shuttle here, or the Bajoran ships like the scout vessel, the Interceptor, because they're meant to be their own ship, and as well as the Romulan science vessel and scout class. The advantage of having a shuttle or small craft is, because they have no staffing requirements, once you put some people on them, they can move instantly. So you can actually get them to an adjacent mission if you want to start off on a shuttlecraft or a runabout, especially if you're playing Federation. You can get them there quickly and down to the surface to start working on the dilemmas that are underneath the mission to score points. You can also transfer personnel from ship to ship if you're both at the same location using engaged shuttle operations and whatnot and other cards. And you can use them as sacrifices as well if you need to. I guess you can call it shipbound redshirting if you need to get rid of a dilemma, or if you have an enemy that's attacking you and you don't want to sacrifice a capital ship, you can do that. Unfortunately, the cons. A lot of them are small, and in cases of some of the Federation shuttlecraft, like the Type 6 shuttle, yes, it has a range of 6, weapons 2, shields 2, weapons 5, shields 5, negligible but not good enough. Even the runabouts, they have better range at 7, weapons 5, shields 5, negligible. The Delta Flyer being a bit of an exception, range of 8, weapons 7, shields 7. It almost has the stats of a small ship in the game, and you can also download evasive maneuvers. The only issue with the Delta Flyer is you can only use it in a Delta Quadrant Federation deck. Some of the small craft like the Zebalian Transport and Pi have great range at 6 and 9, but weapons 2, shields 4, weapons 4, shields 4, you're not going to win in a firefight with that even if you enhance it. The science vessel for the Romulans is marginally better, range of 8, weapons 5, shields 6. Romulan shuttle is another useless shuttle. The range is great, but everything else sucks. But it has a cloaking device that can come in handy certain missions and certain situations in the game. Bajoran ships are generally weak. The Interceptor's not bad at weapon 7, shield 6, and range 5 plus X. X equals 4 if moving within a region. So if you're just using them in the Bajor region and around Deep Space Nine, then you're fine. Cardassian shuttle, again, range of 6, weapons 3, shields 4. Useless on its own. I have carried them aboard a Galler-class warship in a previous Cardassian deck. Again, the Shuttle, weapons 5, shields 5, not that intimidating, but it has a cloaking device, and it can benefit from having matching commanders, as in Lursa and B'Etor. Also, it's a dual affiliation ship, so your Romulan affiliation or your Klingon affiliation can use them, or if you have a combination deck. That is the main pros and cons with these ships, is that yes, they're small, and yes, they can move quickly and they can go places, but a lot of them are hopelessly outgunned and defenseless for the most part, and they don't make a lot of sense unless you're carrying them aboard your ship. You're not really going to start off with a shuttlecraft. I tried that once. I experimented by starting off with a very limited crew on a runabout of 3 or 4 people, because without the staffing requirements, once I had 3 people on, it moved. Again, they don't last long, especially when you start hitting dilemmas as well as your opponent. Now, that all being said, even though with the Federation affiliations you have the most choice in terms of small craft in regards to shuttles and runabouts, if you're using anything less than a runabout, don't even bother half the time. That's why when the original set came out in '94, and they actually included the runabout, because if you remember, it appeared in one episode of Next Generation, I was actually happy at seeing that runabout card more so than the shuttlecraft, because, as I mentioned, weapons 2, shields of 2 on a shuttlecraft, that's not going to stand up to anything. You could throw a rock at the shuttlecraft and it'll explode. I'd rather have a runabout any day. Basically, just be careful where you use and how you use shuttles and small craft. They're not the be-all and end-all. They might help in certain situations, but if a big ship comes along, have a great day, everybody.